guys, it's Sprout here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support on the WormClan last video. It is making me so excited to keep making more. So excited even, I roped my friend into making a spider clan, and she is actually also going to be doing like a little voiced story thing, and I'm going to be uploading it here. I'm helping her like edit it and stuff. So we're going to have WormClan and Spider Clan, and they're kind of, living in the same area. So yeah. Okay, but let's get into WormClan Year 2, because there's a lot. Let's start with Mr. King Dirt. So early in the year, he broke his leg, I guess his lower half, during a battle with the mallow snails. During his healing, his Queen Day, ended up having her 3 kits. Very cute, and we'll get more to them later. However, Mr. King Dirt kind of had his mind busy thinking about another lady. I know, this guy is kind of crazy. He had his eyes on Warrior Fire. Huh. He was thinking that she would make a new queen, especially now that he had already had a lot of babies with Queen Day. Awful. Awful. He waited until the kids were born and then broke up with her, literally the same day. He was gonna demote her to warrior after she heals. And we're gonna get more into her side of that because it's crazy. He enjoyed spending a lot of time with his new queen, telling her about romantic stories, but then he grew a bit bored of Queen Fire and was wondering if he had made a mistake. So I'm not going to go into detail until we get to Queen Fire, but something happened and he decided to take Queen Day back. Second time's the charm, right? He hopes so because next moon she's expecting again. This will be her 3rd litter. Crazy. So yeah, just his little summary gives you a lot about what happened, and there's more. Okay, let's move on to Queen Day. So by the 2nd moon of the 2nd year, the queen had 3 adorable babies, but she was immediately heartbroken because her king didn't want her anymore. And when she was in the caretaker, burrow healing, she refused to leave. She didn't want to be a warrior. She didn't want to accept that this was gonna be the end. So she managed to talk to the caretakers, and then they talked to King Dirt and convinced him to make her a mediator, which was something I had never played with in the game, and I found out just how crazy it is. So if you guys don't know, a mediator can either help relationships between cats or hurt them. So she spent the rest of this year spreading gossip and hate about the new queen and the king in order for him to stop loving her. Wild. I understand though, where she's coming from a little bit, because she wants her spot back. Well, it kind of works. I don't want to spoil this one thing, which you'll find out later what exactly happens to Queen Fire, but something happens to her, and the position opens back up again, and with her gone, it was her turn to be queen again. And she kind of had this fiery streak of no one would take it from her. Crazy. And then in the very last month of that 2nd year, she announced that she's expecting more babies. So she, had a lot going on. I'm excited to kind of see her more evil, schemy. She's kind of looking like a little bit of a villain so far, but that's pretty exciting. Okay, so let's get on to Warrior Fire / Queen Fire. Technically, this is going to be Queen Fire and then Warrior Stone at the end because they're kind of together. But we're gonna do hers first. So Warrior Fire, Queen Fire started to have a crush last year on Warrior Stone. They were both warriors together. It made sense because they were together all the time. But in like a particular few moments, it really seemed like they wanted more, like they really did want to be in a relationship. Her heart felt very torn when King Dirt asked her to be his queen. It's what she'd always wanted, so why was it so hard to say yes? I think she really did care for Warrior Stone. Her first patrol with her new stepkids was very awkward. Lil Spore did not want to accept her, but weirdly enough, Little Twig defended the new queen. And it was a really awkward patrol. Tense travel back for sure. And then while at first the relationship was good, after a while King Dirt started to kind of talking to other ladies, specifically a stranger that we find, which I'll talk about soon. She found herself venting to Caretaker Gloom a lot, and even started to crush on her a little bit, but knew she had to hide it. I thought that was kind of cute. Later in the year, things finally seemed to be going well. She had feelings that babies might be soon, but sadly, when she was out on a walk with a stranger, a rogue worm they'd taken, there was a sudden flood, and the rain in the river took her away. And the stranger, it's very sad. So yeah, she dies within her first year of being queen. So rest in peace, Queen Fire. I think you could have done really well, but okay, let me talk about Warrior Stone. So he tried to keep his feelings pushed down, knowing that it was really looked down on to prioritize a crush over working, but he just felt really comfortable with her. The jealousy, he got really jealous when he watched King Dirt just kind of take her away. He overworked himself a lot trying to stay distracted, and he also got green cough. Eventually, he does end up getting better and he gets back to work. Most notably, he fought off a baby snake that tried to enter their tunnel. So that's pretty cool. I really wanted to draw that scene too, but there was a lot going on. And, but yeah, I thought that was go Warrior Stone. Okay, let's get on to the 3 newest little babies. Okay, so these 3 little babies are Queen Days and King Dirt. So she had at the very beginning of the year 3 adorable little baby worms. We have 2 females and a male. So we'll start with Freeze first. Freeze was the male, and he's very, kind of feels nervous because he ends up being trained by his father. During his younger years, he would play a lot with his sisters, and he's a little not as confident as the others, but he's trying. He's very, very cute. He ends up being trained by his father, which is kind of a big thing, And then next to him is Little Web. It's his sister. She tries to be really brave, but doesn't always do that good of a job. Sometimes she gets a little scared. She ends up being Warrior Twig's apprentice, which is pretty fun. That's her older brother, and she takes her training very seriously, which is cute. And then last but not least is Pebble. When she was a little baby, she got heat exhaustion, and so she just hates the heat and is kind of nervous, but also excited because her mentor was Queen Fire, which was the new queen. She knew this kind of made her birth mother upset, but to be honest, Queen Day was so busy trying to get her spot back and scheming and stuff at this time, she didn't really pay attention to the babies that much. It was kind of sad. They felt definitely abandoned a little bit. But let's move on to the next. Caretaker Gloom. She's a little bit of a weird one, but I do like her. She starts to wander off outside of the territory. No one's really sure why. I thought this was suspicious, so I wrote it down. Most notably, though, in the beginning of the year, she has a wound on her and she lets it fester in hope of a cool scar. She's, like I said, she's a little weird. She also gets a bit of a vision about King Dirt and tells him that there's like good times ahead, which is also very interesting. She gets really close to Queen Day, and especially during like Queen Day's like gossiping era, and would tell her if any of the other worms were talking bad about her. So that's kind of cute. But then sadness. Elder Stripe, who in the beginning of the year tried to follow the little ones around but couldn't keep up. She loved all the drama. Mid to late year, she does die in her sleep, and it's so sad. She was so cute, so I think they bury, them in these really pretty flowers, and like, I don't know. So there's those two, but that's okay. Not everything was super sad. Let's go on to Tunnelleaf and Caretaker Borage. I also apologize if this audio quality is really bad. I'm just now noticing it's not the best as it usually is, but just bear with me. I've already recorded so much. Next time I'll do better, I swear. So we're gonna do Caretaker Borage first. For the most part, it was pretty good. That was until Queen Day joins them as a caretaker, because technically being a mediator is like a caretaker. And that's when she started to notice Caretaker Day side-eyeing her and whispering like gossip. And I think she thought that Day was gossiping about her, but when actually she was gossiping about the new queen. She felt things get really tense between her and Gloom and Day, because Gloom and Day got really close, and she just was kind of like on the outskirts. She wondered like what was up with everyone. She got really paranoid, and as the year kind of came to an end, she just starts to flat out dislike a lot of the worms and is wondering if she even wants to stay, which is crazy. I think if King Day catches wind, this could be one of our first like exiles, which I think could be kind of interesting. But yeah, and then we have Tunnelleaf, which not a lot at the beginning of the year. She stayed in the background a lot when everything was going on. She, did her little border tunnels, checked everything, made sure that was good. She did enjoy a little bit of King's time, but it was all like really platonic. He does not have any romantic feelings towards her, but he does enjoy her as like, a friend. And she also very much enjoys teaching Little Grass the ways of a tunneler. I think that's the only other... I don't think we've met Little Grass yet. We haven't. Okay, let's go on to meet... Okay, you'll see. Let's go. So I was going to do this little group last, but they're just cute. I have to do it. So, during like the early-ish part of the year, King Dirt was out on a walk and found Stranger Daisy. She was injured. She had 3 cute little babies. It was a spider actually that attacked her, and she begged for sanctuary. The king specifically eyed the kits and agreed, because he knew he had a lot of children that were one day going to need mates that, were not related. And so he said, okay, I will let this lady in. She can, work for our colony. But really he was mostly excited for the babies. Yeah. Oh yeah, and she could be a tunneler if she proved herself. Stranger Daisy was really thankful and promised to help the colony when she recovered. When she did recover, she was given actually a warrior role, because at that time they needed more food. There was definitely a little bit of food scarceness, because at one point they had 3, 4, 5 kits. Babies, little baby worms, little grubs. I want to call them grubs. I don't know if that's inappropriate, but I might call them grubs anyways. She at one point wiggled and some daisies and they stuck to her, and I thought it was really cute. She also noticed the king would try to flirt with her sometimes. This king is the flirtiest worm I've ever met. Like, it's so crazy. It's funny. It makes sense, like, given everything. But, yeah. She doesn't want to make enemies really soon because she just got here, so she kind of just, like, brushes him off a little bit, but tries to be nice about it. That's when she goes out at the very end of the year on a patrol with Queen Fire, and the water takes them away. It's so sad because she actually, like, begs the ancient worms to let her go back to her, like, babies, but they, like, it fails. They don't listen to her, and it's so sad. Let's talk about the little babies, though, because they will live on in her memory, but I really like Stranger Daisy. I was really rooting for her. So let's see. We have, first is Little Grass. She's like a spunky female, acts real tough in front of others. Apparently also being haunted by a ghost worm while she was on a patrol with her mentor Tunneler Leaf. So this is the one that is going to be a little, spunky border patrol type of worm, and a little more of the, like, brute force, and I think she's so cute. Then we have Little Bright, who really hates life. She was very just sad in the beginning, and this was before her mother died. She was just sad. And she's even sadder now because she was actually being trained by her mother, who she loved. And then we have little grub boss. He was like a dreamer and a daydreamer, like a thinker when he was a little guy. He wonders what path he's gonna take, and he actually ends up really looking up to Scout Spore, which is the first group of children, which is gonna be the last ones. We do the two brothers that are older. And he has a lot of really good trainings with him and is gaining confidence like every move. So that's super fun. And last but not least is the two brothers who are now old. So let's get onto them. So at the beginning of this year, these guys are still technically like apprentices, but I'm going to call them by their adult names. So Warrior Twig, year 2, was really up to no good. He would steal bedding from other members, and as he got older, he tried not to be such a pain, but more of like a jokester. He ended up deciding that, is he a tunneler? Pretty sure he was a warrior. I got my notes. I'm back. So it's because there was a food shortage. I think he was a tunneler for a little bit, but then he swapped over to warrior. Especially because when Stranger Daisy was gonna be a warrior, but then died. It was a lot. Anyway, later in the year, he is attacked by a group of rogue bees, which is crazy. And then during the very last moon of the second year, he meets a really pretty worm lady named Seraphine and begs his father to send a patrol of worms to look for her. But then we don't know if they find her or not. I hope they do. I think it's really cute that he just like was out and sees a pretty lady. And so that's the first brother. The second one is Scout Spore. And he feels really betrayed by his father for moving on from his mother. He was definitely really close to his mom, but he also ends up feeling really betrayed by his mother for spending all of her time being sad and upset over what happened versus spending time with like him and the new little babies. He would pick a lot of fights with his brother and the new queen, and when he got older, he volunteered to be scout so he could get away on his own, and he's just kind of like a sad loner guy, Out, he often worries he's gonna be for them forever, and all this. And I don't know, I hope he finds like a really sweet lady. There's a bunch of like Stranger Daisy's babies. They're only like a few moons apart, but when they become adults, I'm gonna like look at all their relationships. So this next year, I'm really hoping for the babies to start like growing and getting roommates and kind of seeing how all that goes. I think that's really fun. And yeah, so that's all for year 2. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be on the lookout for the spider video that's coming soon, because that one's gonna we're like twisting the stories together a little bit. That's pretty fun. Yeah, leave a comment who's your favorite worm so far. And if you have any worm baby names, please feel free to comment them because I might use some of them as time goes on. And yeah, until next time, I'll see y'all later. Bye!